We are now ready to start working on circuit 3B. Notice we have a new component. This is called a distance sensor. So we also have an old component, an RGB. So let's start wiring it up. So just a reminder, with the distance sensor, you do have 4 different pins, and it is a polar component. One of your items up here, VCC, that's going to your positive or your 5 volts. Our RGB, remember we do have our long lug that is the ground. I don't have a purple wire, so I'm going to connect the green wire where the purple wire is supposed to be, and that should be our echo. So I uploaded my code, and my RGB is not turning on, so let's find out why not. So my code wasn't working because I connected my ground incorrectly. My ground should be on the left side of the breadboard, not the right side of the breadboard. And there it is turning on. So if you successfully upload the code and wire everything correctly, then you notice that RGB changes colors depending on which distance your distance sensor detects. Lines 14 through 19 are all using constant integers and associating these integers with pins. So we have 14 and 15 that are associated with the distance sensor, our trig pin and echo pin. Lines 17 through 19 are associated with the RGB and the specific pins that are used to produce these colors. And remember, we activate different pins to create different colors, and we can have a wide variety of colors, not just red, green, blue. We have an infinite of colors, and these colors also vary with brightness, with a value of 0 to 255, which we will review later. Float distance is 0, so we always start off with the value of 0 when we're measuring our objects. Void setup, this is where we identify if something is an output or an input. And in this situation, notice we have trig pin output, so we send out a signal and then we retrieve that signal with echo pin to measure a distance. And then we do some funky math to actually get the distance. All of our pins for RGB are outputs, that way we can produce some light. Line 25, we have serial begin 9600. So now we need to open up our serial monitor. It looks like we are communicating. Right now, our distance sensor is currently measuring an object at 3.6 inches away, and I believe that is my cable. So I'm going to move my cable away, and yep, it was the cable. Move my cable closer, and we detect an object much closer. If I move it further out, it's kind of wonky. The distance sensor gets kind of wonky when you get a little bit closer, but if you keep your object 2 inches away, then you should be fine. Or 1 inch. Notice it changes colors from red, yellow, green. So in void loop, we are running the code over and over again. Notice we have this term distance equals get distance. Serial print, we print out this term distance. So where are we getting these numbers from? Serial print ln, we are printing out inches. So notice we see inches popping up every time. In line 42, we have an if statement that's saying that if an object is detected at 10 inches or less, then we're going to activate our red pin only and turn on a red color. If we have an object detected in between 10 and 20 inches, then we're going to activate our RGB to turn on a full bright red color with a little bit of green to create our yellow. And finally, if we exceed a value of 10, so we detect nothing before 10 inches, then we only activate our green color. And this delay is running all of this code. So we run everything in between these two brackets every 15 milliseconds. And finally, if you look down here, this is where our calculations are going down, and we get our distance measured with this code right here. Shout out to SparkFun once again for creating this code. So now that we have more wires in our circuit, we have more room for error, so let's actually go over the troubleshooting. Problem number 1, the RGB LED colors aren't working or a color is missing. Check the connection for the wire and resistor connected to each leg of the LED. Ensure the RGB LED is inserted in the correct orientation. So remember, you do have your long wire being your ground, and all of these cables need to be connected correctly. I screwed up in the beginning and my black wire was on the right side of the breadboard, so that's why nothing was turning on. We want to turn on our RGB at a shorter distance or at a different distance. First, let's find the code that relates to distance. Alright, so all of this relates to distance. So in this situation, we just need to change these values right here. So if I put a 3, my RGB will be red if I detect an object at less than 3 inches. And then my yellow will be showing if I detect an object at 10 inches or less, and then finally we have green. So let's see what this looks like. If we do not detect an object at 10 inches or less, then our RGB will be green. Detecting an object 4 inches away, and our RGB is yellow. If I put my finger closer, oh, it turns red. Now it's yellow. Now if I move my wire, we get green. Awesome. We want to change the units of our distance sensor. So if we change our units, now we're going to be changing up our math that we use to calculate the distance. So in my situation, I'll go with feet, and you can do centimeters. We already know that in 1 foot there are 12 inches, so let's go do some math. And to calculate this, calculated distance equals echo time / 148. So I'm going to do divided by 12, because in every foot there are 12 inches. Since this is already set up to calculate inches, I'm going to divide by 12 to measure feet. And since I want to measure feet, I'm going to change inch or IN to FT for inches. And let's convert this to 1. Let's say if it's in between 1 and 2 feet. So here we have our ranges. So now if our object is detected at less than 1 foot, we will have a red color. If we have an object in between 1 and 2 inches, 1 and 2 feet. If we detect an object between 1 and 2 feet, we'll have a yellow color. And then finally, if we do not detect an object in less than 2 feet, we will get a green color. Works. So here's our section with our colors. So to add a 4th color, we need to add another distance. Let's go ahead and do it here in between the else if and the else statement. So notice this else if statement is consisting of everything within these 2 brackets. So I need to copy everything here. In order to get 2 different colors between these 2 else if statements, we need to change up the colors. And then we also need to change up our condition. So let's say between 20 and 30. So I don't have to change anything for the else statement or this if statement up here. So right now we are going to detect an object from 20 to 30 centimeters. And we'll throw in a very bright blue. There's our very bright color. We have our red, RGB less than 10 inches. We have yellow. There's bright blue between 20 and 30. And then finally we have green.